Welcome back to the Business Simple podcast. It's your host, James. Today, we are joined by Rick Thorpe. Rick is a dynamic entrepreneur who's made a major impact in the accounting world and beyond, someone that I've been lucky to know for a couple of years now. I'm back in the Canterbury Club days. Rick is the CEO of Sidekick Accounting, a company that has revolutionized how businesses think about accounting, but his journey goes far beyond just numbers. He's a true innovator and leader who's embraced a mix of creativity, technology, and personal relationships to build something truly remarkable. From leading a multi-office firm to driving community-focused growth, Rick's journey is full of insights that will inspire any entrepreneur. Today, we'll explore his path to leadership, the philosophies that guide his success, and how he's creating a modern, people-first business. Rick, thanks for coming.
No, thank you. Thanks for the great intro as
well.
That
was actually, I hate reading them because normally everything else I do is just completely off the cuff and loose. But like I mentioned before this, I'm trying to get a bit better at the professional stuff. So
I'd be happy if that was on my tombstone, mate. That's lovely. Yeah.
Made you sound like a bit of a legend. We can wrap things up there. Cool. Rick, hey, I've known you for a couple of years now, and obviously, you have, and this is something that I really admire when I see people, you have continued to grow throughout that period of time that I've known you. Something that I have no idea about and that I'm sure the listeners are really interested in is what your journey has been like. Were you always an accountant? How did you start out? What was it about accounting that drew you towards it? And then what was your journey like joining Sidekick and then continuing to grow that organization?
Yeah, perfect. Well, look, funnily enough, I've never been an accountant.
Yeah.
So, that's probably one of the stark differences between myself in this role and maybe anyone else in a similar one. I was really fortunate that I found sales when I was about 17.
Yeah.
And, when you're at school, you don't even really know that sales is a career or a job, And luckily I had a good few mates, dads and my own dad, and that was saying that was probably a really good space for me to be in, always a bit of a people person.
Yeah.
Had ambition, I just had no idea where to channel it. And, I worked for some really cool companies back in the UK, and that got me into sales. There was a lot that went on there, but then, wind the clock forwards a few years. I was running my own small business in Christchurch, and I kind of got headhunted for this massive sales job. And I'm going back now, I was 24.
Mm-hmm.
God, it would be a difficult job for me to do now. It was a really massive senior job. Had 7 interviews, was chatting to the MD in the UK, all of this stuff. I didn't end up getting the job, which was probably rightly so. But it really opened my eyes to the fact that running my own small little business, I wasn't creating the empire I wanted.
Yeah.
So I put myself out there to a recruiter or two. And this great guy, Phil, said, I've got 2 roles that are just like that right now. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, no, I've got 1. I was like, okay. And he goes, it's this accountancy firm. I was like, oh, nah, not interested, you know. Speaking to my, now ex-wife at the time about it. And she's like, go, see what it's like. They seem like an interesting firm. And I've got to admit, when I joined DJCA back in 2010, that felt space age, from what I knew of accountants up until that point. And then I meet these guys and they've got amazing tech backers and they wanted, Xero was space age at the time. Yeah. And they needed someone that could get out there and sell it on cheaper wages than an accountant, that can go and chat to business owners, train people on the system. And so I started off as a sales guy there at the age of then 25. But just loved it. It was just such great culture, great people. Not everyone's still there, but the people that were there 15 odd years ago, I still bump into and hang out with, and really cool atmosphere. Nice. Yeah.
And what was it about that product at the time that was so innovative? I know my journey personally as a business owner with accountants has been one that, it's probably been messy to describe, I take my hat off to you taking a business development role at an accountancy firm. It would scare the shit out of me. I know nothing about it. I've had probably 3 or 4 different accountants now. I've landed on one that I'm stoked with.
Yep.
But he's probably more of a people person the accounting thing comes second, and that can be really interesting.
Yeah. So look, I was fortunate, I landed into this role, and the people I've met who have had similar roles to me over this period of time haven't necessarily done as well. And that's not to blow my own trumpet. I didn't ever feel like it was a particularly difficult job.
Yeah.
If you can understand business enough, right? People don't go and buy accountancy because they're desperate to have accountancy, right? They need accountancy. I think I was even saying a networking thing earlier today. It was like, the IRD's legal department does my marketing for me.
Yeah.
They tell you that you've got to go get this stuff done. It's just a case of picking the right provider.
Yeah.
So you're not selling the idea that it's a good idea to do accounts. You have to. The reality is, bad accounts and good accounts, there's absolute daylight in between it. And I've always said to clients, if you're only using Xero because you think it makes our job easier at the end of the year, what a waste of your time.
Yeah.
You want to be running your business, getting the money in your business, paying the bills, and building that as a success. Use all of that stuff, that infrastructure, Xero, whatever it might be, calling on your accountant. Use that to your advantage, not just so that every 2 months or every 12 months they can do a return for you.
Yeah, right.
And it's just a different way of looking at it. And Xero made life so much easier back then. Like, the bank feeds were space age, right? Now, all the stuff that Xero did back then that was revolutionary is now standard, and you wouldn't expect or accept anything less than that.
Yeah.
And so it was just a tool that just made life so much better. It's like I look at now things like Henry for sole traders. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's so revolutionary. There's things I would love to see it do better. We'd actually recommend it more if it did more stuff, or if we could partner with it better. But like, as technology drives, it's just a case of being out there, talking to business owners about it, helping them implement it, and then we just tacked on the service on the back end of it. It's been amazing. We would have gained thousands of clients over that period of time. I know now that we've got about 3,500 Xero ledgers that we look after for Xero and for clients. And it's just been that steady growth. And I am, being a sales guy, being a BDM, I'm an absolute growth junkie, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember 10 years ago saying to my boss at the time, Dave, I was like, we're never going to get that exponential growth that a software firm can get or whatever. We're service, right? Yeah. So, but we can add to the lines of like growth by opening up more offices or doing something like that, and I'd love to do that and be part of it. Yeah. So, we started doing that pretty much 10 years ago. Would be the anniversary that we set up in Christchurch and Blenheim and other offices. And we'd had some failures along the way. We've had some expensive failures. Luckily, not much of that was on my money. But it was just been an amazing journey and just so different. I look at like what my job is now compared to what it was all those years ago. And it's just vastly different, but still fun.
Yeah. That was exactly what I was going to ask, because I know sort of what it's like to go from being the sales guy to the guy steering the ship. And it's good to always have that sales thing in your back pocket, because I think it's such a valuable skill, and so much more of life is selling than people realize anyway. But how big's the team now, and what's it like running that?
Yeah, well, look, in all honesty, I do not run much of the overall business, right? Like I've, and somewhat by design, I've said, I'll do this bit. This is the bit I'm potentially good at, but it's the bit I really care about. Yeah. So if it's the sales, if it's the marketing, if it's the culture card, the strategy of the group, that's what I care about greatly. Yeah. But I've got amazing business partners. So my business partners in different areas, geographical areas, right? They are typically accountants. They've got public practice certificate. They run their own local firm. In most cases, I'm a shareholder with them as well. Yeah. And so they drive so much of the day-to-day and the performance and the making sure that we are filing tax returns and we are doing all of that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean the team, to answer your question, we're currently 6 offices and about 60 people.
Mm-hmm.
We've got very excitedly, we've got a 7th office joining us very soon. And they come to us with 14 people and a really great established reputation and skill set. And so, you know, we're able to combine forces there because where we do sales, marketing, tech, culture, like team development and training and opportunities and all of that. Also the director development. As you know, it can be really lonely driving your own business. And if you're the boss and you've got a team, who do you go to for help? You know? So I feel like we've got an amazing product for businesses like that can join us, providing they fit. You know, like they've got a great team, great culture, love people. We, you know, the rest of it, we love to build around them. So,
Cool.
It's growing, and I'm lucky I get to just kind of stick to my knitting, do the bits that I like.
Do you find as well, and maybe I'm stereotyping a little bit here, but do you find that the things that Sidekick brings to the table tend to be what accountants are bad at?
Yeah. And but it's because no one's going to be great at everything. And if you are diligent and good at burying your head in a set of accounts and making sure that they are spot on, right? You're probably gonna lack in other areas. Right. So, and also, it's like a lot of things. It's like, you know, pretty much every interesting business I've ever worked with is really terrible at the accountancy.
I'm so awful. That's kind of what I'm trying to play off. I'm like, my accounts team internally here can't even get me to give them a receipt. I can't even remember to grab a receipt when I leave a restaurant or something. Like, I'm 100%, awful. I'm the worst possible. Yeah.
And so, that is also me, right? So at least I can really
put yourself in the customer's shoes.
Yeah. Like if I've got a receipt, it's because I accidentally used the wrong card and I want to be reimbursed, right? Like that's it's you're just never going to be great at it all, and yet we're fortunate that we've always taken that other stuff really seriously, you know, the sales and the marketing. And I think a lot of that comes from when I first joined, we had investment from Dave Jessup, but his brother-in-law, a guy called Dave Cooney, absolutely sensational fella, such an incredible entrepreneur himself. Like he truly is an entrepreneur. He's phenomenally successful, and he'd grown sales teams in financial products in the UK. And was coming here just like, this is how you grow. So do this on marketing, do this on sales, do this on that. It's like, couldn't care less what the business is. Doesn't matter that it's accountancy. This is how you grow it. And I just got some lifelong lessons from him back then that I use day in, day out, right? Because he was just, so inspiring. And that's been the root of our philosophy the whole time. I will admit, I actually think that for a bit of the last few years, I think we, again by design, but we got really operational, which we needed to. But it had meant that I think our growth did get a bit stifled, and there wasn't really one person that was going to take charge of, say, the growth of the group. The person that was in charge of the operational side did a really fantastic job of that. That was absolutely great. The mission now is for us to do that well, as you'd expect, but then grow. And so that's what I'm tasked with doing. And again, it's a case of getting out there to those people who don't want to market as much as perhaps they could, don't want to have to do the sales as much as they could. Team development is tricky. Your own development is tricky. We are getting so much in the way of headwinds of technology that, sure, you can go and spend $100,000 in your own business and try and get it done. But actually, we can spend $100,000 as a group and put it out into 10 businesses. So it's just economies of scale. And again, so many accountants are just so busy running their own business that even if you knew you should do that, are you gonna? So
it's like us with our I mean, we get caught up with not marketing ourselves for periods of time like we should. And it's so hypocritical and awful when you say it out loud, but you're like, I'm so busy doing the thing that I'm,
Yeah.
It's
the builder's house or the mechanic's car,
Yeah, exactly.
Luckily, we are up to date with our tax filing.
Yeah. I'm pleased to hear it.
Yeah.
I am, but it has nothing to do with me. Hey, when I was doing my research today as well, it pulled up something about doing some work in the creative sector for a period of time as well. Was that pre-Sidekick?
Yeah. Actually, pre and in between. So my only other career, really, like I was in sales and I was in like marketing sales. So I worked for the Auto Trader Group in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Worked a number of other advertising related things. My own little business when I was 23, 24 was little marketing web business because was the stuff I loved.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to do QR code like marketing and stuff.
Yeah.
15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
One lesson I did learn is don't be that ahead of the curve.
Yeah. It's too far.
It's really not profitable.
Yeah.
So, but the that is essentially all I've ever done is really sales and marketing. Loved it, and I thought that was my calling.
Yeah.
And so then when I joined this accountancy firm in 2010, I was like, oh, this is a bit of a step away from what I perhaps love or what I'm really good at. Got to apply sales and marketing in there, loved it, got some great results and growth. But then my role was going to be changing loads with DJCA. It was actually going to be potentially moving to the UK, to London. I mean, London's a cool place for a weekend, but I don't know about raising a couple of kids there, and would have been really challenging. And so I actually ended up going and working. You'll know Plato obviously really well, right?
Yeah,
and
of course.
I knew John and Lisa for years, and the team there, like great people. And so had this opportunity to join them, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. I did it, and it was great, but I couldn't believe how much I missed the accountancy industry.
Yeah, right.
And I had a couple of moments where, you're trying to sell or you're trying to like consult and sell to get the best outcomes for a client with their marketing.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, well, why do you need to know that? And it's like, well, because I'm going to make a recommendation. It's like, how much do you charge? How much do you make? What's the profit? What's your capacity? How many times, if this is going to work, if you're going to spend 50 grand, right? How quickly do you get your 50 grand back? That's what I want to know as a salesy, consultancy kind of role. And it was really funny how people, when I was selling marketing or websites, didn't want to tell me.
Yeah, right.
Working in accountancy, God, it's like you're at your doctor's visit or something.
It's
like, here's all the truth.
Yeah.
You go, cool. And I love it, and I would never, what's the word? I take it as a great responsibility that people share that much information with us because ultimately we're trying to help. But maybe anyone watching this, be as honest with your marketing agency. Right?
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was like,
probably,
we're pretty upfront.
Yeah,
I find it easier than my sales guys do because, and I think it's maybe a little bit of like a from my desk to your desk kind of let's just chat about this thing. And I tie it back to exactly what you said then. I'm like, look, you're going to spend this money with me. I need to know how to get it back to you. And I need to know how to get it back to you with some buddies. So I need to know what your numbers are, how it's going to work, because I need to figure out how we do it on our end.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me, and I can still put a suggestion through, and that's completely fine. It's just, I don't want to aim to bring you 100 clients, and you tell me you needed 1,000, and then we have that conversation after you've spent the money. It just doesn't seem fair.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And look, I mean, if you're trying to do anything, sell anything, help anyone, if you're doing it with part of the information, then you're lucky if it works.
Yeah.
Right? And I try and take that philosophy to everything I do. And look, if you can't be completely honest and open with people, then perhaps it's the wrong person you're talking to.
Yeah.
Maybe you need another option, provider or whatever it is. So, I think, but it was a real it was a great life lesson for me to go through that and experience it. And although I love being back in the sales and marketing thing, I actually, like I say, really missed the accountancy side of things. A lot of that was the people and the culture, even though Plato had a fantastic team. And again, I've got, people I stay in touch with from there still.
Yeah.
But it just felt right to go back to DJCA and Sidekick after a year.
Yeah.
I then had a pretty frank conversation with my then boss, Dave, after a couple of months. I was telling him, so this is going back to, I think, it's probably this time 11 years ago.
Yeah, right.
2014. It's like I'm back in making sales again, driving the growth, looking at new territories, having a great time. It's like, but I don't just want to just be the sales guy forever. I don't want to be, no offense to anyone here, but it's like, I don't want to be the 40-year-old salesman that I know what the life is like as a salesman is you get all the highs, but you get the lows. You go from hero to zero at the end of every month.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, you never get the benefit of what you've done last month or last year or whatever, other than maybe a slightly higher salary. And so I said to him, one day I will want to be an owner. I love business, always have, and being a business owner in the accountancy arena really appeals to me. But I also knew I couldn't, because I can't just own an accountancy firm or couldn't own a chartered accountancy firm. But the great thing was, he always drove that culture where you could go to him with any idea, good or bad. He'd usually tell you if it was obviously bad.
Yeah.
But I could just have that frank conversation with my boss about how I want to be a boss.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, well, let's see what that looks like, and we'll come up with some ideas. And what was really awesome was after a while, he came back with this idea of a joint venture. Because we'd actually tried kind of licensing in the year that I was away, and we tried other things and branches. And what hadn't really worked for us was when you have a branch and a manager, it's pretty difficult to incentivize that manager really well to have lots more work and clients.
Yeah.
That's kind of against what makes their life good.
Well, they probably get paid the same amount for more work.
Yeah. Which most people won't volunteer for, right?
Yes, sure.
Especially smart people like accountants, right? And then the other thing that we had was with, when we did licensing originally, we hadn't really nailed the product. We had stuff that I actually think was probably quite copyable.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, but it wasn't so revolutionary. And now this is why, I've actually steered away from it for years, because I've gone, your cost to compete, your opportunity to do this and that, what are we really offering? But now I'm really pumped that we've got an amazing product, which is basically an amazing group of people that we're all in it together with way less of that hierarchical structure. Like we're actually business partners together. We embrace and embark on all of these technology projects together. Yeah. So at very least, you've got a return on investment with your technology output, right? Then team development and all the rest of it. So that all works really well. But going back, the 11 years ago, when Dave's suggestion was, well, let's set up new offices, which, the growth junkie, that's what I desperately wanted to do.
Yeah.
He goes, we'll do it as a joint venture. So he'll own some, then motivated salesperson owns some. So I'm out there and then the branch manager, the owner there, they own some because they're then motivated to do the work, do it well, and do as much of it as possible. Yeah. Sales guy motivated, because if I'm not selling, I'm not doing much or earning, right? So again, we've got the growth. And then the ownership of the kind of head office, well, that works great because that's why they're keen to share IP and grow together. Yeah. Right? So that worked for us really well. And then Dave had a health scare just before COVID. So fortunately, the scare was worse than the reality, but still a bit of an eye-opener. Then we had COVID. And so we were all buying Dave out and basically like tripling our mortgages 5 days into that first ever lockdown.
Yeah, right.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I remember having a phone call with my business partner, Lisa. She asked the question with a few expletives, I believe, in it around what are we doing?
Yeah, sure. I can see where they might fit in.
Yeah. And I'd said, we're about to do the best or worst thing we'll ever do.
Yeah.
And time will tell us.
Yeah.
It was great. I'm actually stoked. In business, you know, I think it's way more of an experiment than an exact science, right? And so with that, we came together as a group. We're a great kind of block of companies with some shared shareholdings, some independents, some, you know, we're all a bit same, but different, but we had a really great thing tying us together, which was we're all fundamentally like really aligned people, and aligned in the fact that our values are aligned. What we look for in great people, and whether it be clients or employees or whatever, is all really aligned. And for the most part, our strategy was aligned.
Yeah, right.
We have since found that, you know, over the last 4 years, this is a bit of a warts and all story.
Yeah.
You know,
We like those.
yeah, good. That, you know, perhaps 2 of the offices weren't. And whether that was mid-term or long-term, I suppose the cracks started to show. And maybe, you know, we weren't on a parallel path, we were on a slightly off. So actually one of the businesses we did sell last year to another great outfit that we've known for years. Yeah. And then another one actually just elected to leave the group because they're like, you know, I actually want to go and do this. And what you guys want to do is perhaps a bit of a bigger ambition. Yeah. And I don't really want to do that with my firm. And you go, right, cool. And so that was a massive, like a running kick to my ego.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah. Not from like, but even with staff or with key people within a business or whatever, being like, hey, I respect the journey you're on, but I don't want to be a part of it. You're like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, totally. It's like, everybody love everybody.
This is the best one. Just trust me. You don't.
Yeah, totally. And look, and we lost some really cool people in the process. But again, I always think, you know, great people, it doesn't matter where you are, you can stay connected. And so, funnily enough, I've hired one of them back into the holdings company that we've got, and another one I'm sure we'll stay in touch with. And again, you know, it's like the realization I had once the bruises on the ego kind of started to heal was I was like, actually, look at what we've just done and just gone through, right? Yeah. We were like 8 businesses, somewhat tied together with some shareholding or some whatever, or group, or we started together, cool. But we've just gone through losing a founder. That can be fatal for a business. Yeah. We've gone through COVID. We've gone through leverage because, you know, we pretty much had to buy out really significant shareholders over that period of time. Yeah. These are things that can be fatal to any business. Yeah. And we had 3 of them, right? Across our whole group. Yeah. And so to then expect a 100% success rate is probably really unrealistic. Yeah. And I'm really pleased with how we actually managed the process of selling one business because, to be honest, it was right for that owner. Yeah. And it creates a great opportunity for them for the future. And so it was the right thing to do. And then for the other business that was like, actually, am I out? My strategy is different. You go, yeah, that's the best outcome because always better to do that early rather than late.
And don't drag them along.
Totally.
No one wins that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And what it does is we were then approached by a group actually who then wanted to buy us. And I was like, well, I don't know. How do we feel about this? Like, I'm actually open to it because I love what they're doing. Right? Yeah. I actually really respect these guys because we've had a few approaches from bigger groups and all of that. You know, join our network, do this, do that. And somewhat appealing, but with these guys it was actually really appealing because I like them, I like what they're doing, trust them, and they came to us with an idea. Fundamentally, the idea wasn't going to be right for us, but it really opened up our eyes to the fact of like, actually, we have got something really freaking cool here that people actually really want. Yep. And we want to do the growth anyway, which we were hoping to do, but we were doing it without having the real clear strategy to do it.
Sure.
And so I loved it because it galvanized all my business partners to go, no, we're going to do this. Like, thank you very much to these guys. Really flattering. Love it. But no, we're going to go and do this ourselves, almost in competition, but we're doing it in such a different way that I don't know that we'll actually really see that competition.
Yeah, sure.
But it then kind of gave me the permission to, because I said, right, well, I think you're ready for a CEO or whatever now. Like, we actually need someone to drive this. So I'll put my cap in the ring, but I think we should interview a few people. Yeah. And I say that as a shareholder as well as the job.
Yeah.
Then I didn't see them looking at any other CEOs, and I was like, right, well, fine, this is my strategy. So ultimately, if you do pick me, I'm just going to go and do it, and you won't love everything. So, but I also won't care. This will be the way that I do it. And so I presented the ideas of what I really wanted to do and achieve. And it's been amazing. Like, the support I've had from my business partners has been incredible. Like, the rungs on the ladder that I've got so far have come from them. But it's just been so great to see what could have been a tough time. It could have been you get these kind of inflection points in businesses where you're like, oh, which way is this going to go, right? Especially when you're dealing with people, people's livelihoods, people's potentially biggest investment, right? If they're big enough shareholders in our group. Great to see us come out of these points with a really great strategy, and like, the team just seems unanimous on all of these key decisions. But also, like, sure, go do it yourself. Go drive it. Like, so it's been really fantastic.
So you've gone from, so now is everything held under one company? Is it the big transition that's happened, or they're still separate, but they're just a united strategy? That's the main change.
So still individually owned, with some co-shareholding across the group, and where we've got, essentially, from the outside, we look a bit like a franchise at the minute. But actually, if someone comes and buys in to be within Sidekick, they actually become a shareholder in our holdings group, not the other way around, right? So that's why we need to be super picky with who we get on board, because they sit around the table. We've not got a model that's gonna. It's not to make a few people wealthy. It's not to feed an enormous head office and drive out profits to a few people. Our business is more around, if we have a great strategy, we have great businesses on board with us, and we're selective about them, then we get their skills and expertise. We get to share the resources. They get to help drive the business with us. That's why we want good people, don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. With them being an owner of us, it means that rising tide lifts all ships. We all get better. The businesses become more valuable. The clients win critically because we've got more internal skills and capability and software and the ability to drive more tech initiatives. And we just get to do it all together.
Cool.
So it's I feel like we've really got a great product in this space now, and we can own some of their business potentially if they want that. If they want that as like a succession strategy for them, but we don't have to. And as we grow as a group, it will create more opportunities for them as well.
It's just driven off whether they're good or not, right? Like, that's 100%. The key. That's all that really matters. And if that box is ticked, the details don't really matter afterwards. Because everything else will sort itself out. So there's a number of ways that we try and validate what people are going to be like when they join us. But we've got this simple as you like acronym, and I use it day in, day out. And it's where we're looking for swans, right? So it's people that are smart, they work hard, they're ambitious, and they're nice. Have to be all four. Nice is probably the most important. Sure.
Like, There are some great people out there that maybe don't, just get 3 of those letters out, right? And it just wouldn't work. So my second favorite person is a 1, right? So you might just work hard, be ambitious and nice. You don't need to be that smart.
Yeah. If there's one that's 50-50. Yeah, nice. So one thing I'm interested in, and this is not really anything that I plan to ask, but my impression of accounting, which may be wrong, just before I say this question, more likely is wrong than right. But my impression of accounting is it's an industry that has evolved a lot over the last, say, I've had a business for almost 7 years. And in the time that I've had a business, I've had a few different accountants. I've seen the impact of, say, overseas workers, like from the Philippines and things like that, on accounting overall. I've seen Xero come in a much bigger way. I went from MYOB across and seeing the tech innovation in Xero, and that thing's been really interesting. I've seen Xero grow over the last few years. Now we're walking into this new era of like artificial intelligence and all the stuff that's happening there. And I'm sure you're doing some stuff there if you're investing in tech currently. What's it been like as a non-accountant to try to navigate that and it being such a like innovative industry?
Yeah. So it is and it isn't, right? Like there's some accounting principles that exist because some dude called Pichlet, I believe he was called, came up with modern accountancy. The guy's been dead about 500 years and we still use those practices. You know, when you run your own report and you're like, where's my drawings? It's like, oh, that's on the balance sheet. Well, why is that on the balance sheet? Oh, because Pichlet decided.
Right. Right. 500 years ago.
Yeah. And so we have conversations with clients all the time where I get it. It doesn't make sense. It's like drawings. Yeah, okay, drawings is drawings and we've got to treat it a particular way. But actually, clients don't see it as drawings. It's like, how much have I taken out of the business? What have I earned? Why can I not see that when I run a profit and loss? Because that's the only report I'm familiar with, right? So it's like just little stuff like that it's actually quite hard to get everyone's head around it because accountants want to do it that way. Yeah. And clients don't care. Rightfully so, right? So we get challenges like that. But then you get these, such a paradox to that is then everyone's like, how are we going to be using AI? How are we going to be doing this? And a lot of that, I think, might be driven by, cool, what tech is going to take the boring parts of my job away? I don't think there's anyone in our business, any employee that we have, that is fearful of losing their job to a robot. Yeah. They are like, what can I get the robot to do? Yeah. Right? How much can I delegate out to a robot? I think a lot of that maybe does come down to the people that we are pretty selective about. You know, like we have, I love my team, and all around the South Island, like everyone's awesome. And I know that sounds like hyperbole, but they really are, right? Yeah. Because we have shared values, shared, that Swans thing. And we spend a lot of time trying to make all of our team members leaders or leaders of themselves or whatever, right? So that, there's one thing that we talk about, which is the quadrant of the achiever matrix, right? And one of the key things in there is if something's urgent and it's like but it's not important, how do we delegate it? How do we just get it done? And that's where things like offshoring is really, really useful. Mm-hmm. This robotics project that we're doing right now, it's not AI, which annoys me, but equally I wouldn't know what I was doing with it. But it is just training robots to do a job. This job will hopefully take maybe up to like an hour and a half away from each tax return that we have to do, which means the accountants have an hour and a half now that they can spend with the client. That's going to yield 10 times the return for the client, right? Because they can actually have a conversation. We use really good tech in terms of we use a system called the Gap, and when we have meetings now, we want to be able to send out an email first and get pre-work for it, so that we're not meeting with the client, discovering all of this stuff and going, oh, right, how do we fix this in an hour?
Yeah.
Whereas if we can save time on the job because we've got a robot that does it, we can send out pre-work because we've got a great system that does it. Yeah. It then builds out the agenda for the meeting. And so we've just won all of this time back to be way more human with our accountants and with our accountants and their clients, to be able to just provide so much more value to them for potentially the same price, you know?
Yeah.
Or it pushes us up the value ladder, because we're like, now we're actually giving you really good stuff, not just making sure that the IRD's off your back.
Yeah.
So generally, if we're doing advisory work and really supporting a client to achieve so much more in their business, whether it be that they want, you know, more money, more time, less headaches, right? If we can do that, then that's a far more valuable win.
And that was always the thing that I'd personally, and I'm sure I fit the mold of like every business owner ever. It was like bouncing between different accountancy firms, them all having different styles, and none of them actually being the style that I needed. And like the sweet spot, I got referred through someone who advises me a lot, an accountant, and then they actually joined my advisory board.
Yeah.
That gave them that, and like I just really fucking liked them. Like it was just that, like that made it so much easier. I was like, this guy, and like he came in, he was like, I'm really excited about this. I love this sort of shit. Like I like upcoming growing businesses. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I've just come from accountants that are just too conservative, and he's like, get after it, like go and do it. And he's like, you're going to push envelopes. You're that kind of person. Yeah. I just want you to keep being you rather than trying to be someone who's an accountant's dream. And that's, But having that level of involvement made such a big difference. That human element really changed it.
Yeah, yeah. And that it does. It makes an enormous difference, though, when you have to be able to connect on that. And the trouble is, very often these relationships, they are just chalk and cheese, right? Because you've got the person that wants to do your compliance and doesn't want that to be a struggle for them. Yeah. And you've got you, who's like, I don't care about compliance. I'm growing a business. Right? I let me do this. Let me do the fun, shiny stuff. And the receipts are over there.
So, still at the restaurant somewhere.
Or even like half the receipts are over there, you know. So yeah, it is. So it's about, you know, we'll do much better by being able to connect on that level with the client. It's funny. You match 100%. They're like one of our avatars of a perfect client, right? And it's my favorite client. And I will admit, the accountants hate you.
I know.
It's, you know, a young, ambitious guy, growing a big business, generally, you know, pushing like in the services business or finance or what have you, like scalable, fun, love property, love debt, love like culture. Great, right? We often have clients, conversations with clients like yourself where, and I love it, but it's like, oh, hey, I'd Googled it and I don't need to like pay tax on this. You're like, yeah, but you've Googled it and you're looking at like Florida. We're not there, you know, like, but it's great. It's the enthusiasm, and it's guys that really want to learn and know more about this stuff. And like, this is where things like ChatGPT will make our jobs more difficult briefly in this space. But clients like that, I love them because you work with them for 10 years and you see these guys create and amass real wealth through property, business acquisition. You know, there's like nearly no limit to their ambition. It's just needs a little bit of steering to, you know, still be legal.
And that's what I probably like about my accountant Craig the most, is it's like, here's your bars on either side. Go as hard as you want.
They're the rails.
You have rails. Go as hard as you want in the middle. And he can appreciate, like you point out, like loves debt, all gas pedal, no brake. ambitious, doesn't like risk adverse, driving things forward.
Yeah.
You need someone, if you're a business owner like that, you need someone who looks at that like a good thing, not a bad thing.
Totally.
Because if it's a bad thing, and if you're in combat with your accountant about the way that you are, it's just going to make everything worse around it.
Totally. And the last thing you want then is that you don't then talk to your accountant about everything, because you go, oh, I'm not going to bother telling them about this because they're going to...
I was a bit like that.
Yeah. They're like, they'll just tell me no. So I'll do it, and then I'll tell them that I've done it.
Yeah,
and
way later, once it's way too late to undo.
Yeah. And we have conversations like that. I mean, I know I kick myself a little bit. I can think of 2 clients recently where they've embarked on projects with people I've not necessarily liked or trusted, and it's been like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, okay, what's your worst case scenario out of this? And trying not to just expressly say, well, I don't trust this guy, do you want to? But maybe I should have.
Yeah.
Because in both cases of recent times, it's like, it hasn't worked out well. And it's like the last thing I ever want to do and wouldn't do is that I told you so, right?
Yeah.
In fact, if anything, I really kick myself because perhaps I didn't tell you so as much as I really should have told you. So we just want our clients to reach out to us at the beginning and be optimistic, but also actually share some of our knowledge and experience about, or, you know, hey, we've seen it go really wrong like this before. Yeah. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, we always say it's you that's signing everything off. It's you that's growing this business. You're the expert in your field.
Yeah.
We want to be the sounding board for you. We want to understand your business as well as we can and help influence your decisions. But you've got to be married up with someone that shares those fundamental values that you've got. Yeah. If you're working with someone that is so risk averse, right, hates debt, just wants slow and steady life, just wants to be comfortable, doesn't want to lose it all, they are probably going to be one of the worst advisors for you.
Oh, and do you know what it is? And I'm probably not giving my accountants the credit that they deserve at the time, because they were probably right. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like I'm not saying they were wrong. I'm just saying like they didn't help me by you know, and I don't want to feel guilty about it. I was fucking like 23 or 24, you know, like I was never going to know what to do.
Totally.
And like you go and give me a business that's doing $2.5-3 million a year, I'm going to do heaps of dumb shit. There's like unlimited. And that was a part of me growing up, like and learning. And, you know, I was never pushing things to a point where we were in danger. I was just like living life on the limit. It was, and that was our early stage. And then that changed, and I stopped being quite so mental all the time. But like I had to learn that myself. There was not And there
are so many lessons that you just have to go and learn by making the mistake. Right? Yeah. So many things that I've seen with people that where it's pretty predictable for us, but you go, you know, words are cheap. We can tell you all you like, but until you've gone and made the mistake yourself, you won't learn the lesson. Yeah. I love it when you can learn expensive mistakes from other people.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes they just need to be your own.
Yeah, I tend to make them myself. That's my that's my preferred route. We don't learn from other people's mistakes around here. Nice. Oh, cool. Well, hey, what a cracker of a technically that's probably the start of the episode. But so what I'm kind of picking up with this then is and something that came up in my research that I'm interested in is you guys have been innovative from a tech side. You've been innovative from a business model side. You've also been innovative from a way that the clients pay you side. Were you guys one of the first to do the fixed price thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that in itself, and I had a fixed price accountant when I started out, but that in itself was huge. That must have been a game changer in the market.
Absolutely. It was like all of a sudden you could buy your accountancy services like you paid for your phone bill, right? And you accept that when you do that, you know, back then it was fine because, you know, when you pay for your phone bill, you don't then go and check, oh, did I use all of my minutes and gigabytes that month, right? You just go, did it always work? Was I happy? Yeah. Perfect. Great. So you've got overs and you've got unders, and the law of averages meant that it all worked out. And so at the beginning there, it was awesome. And for me as a sales guy, incredible. It was like I said, you know, IRD's legal department tells you got to do it. Perfect. I've got a brand new way of you doing it.
Yeah.
And it's how people wanted to buy. So I loved it. I think I probably brought more clients on board then than I ever have since, right?
Yeah.
And it was just so good to just stand out. Like we had pink branding, pink books, pink business cards. Every other accountancy firm is dark green or dark blue, right? So we just stood out like dog's bits. The other thing was, like you say, that the product itself, it was a different experience to buy it. And I think that that's totally critical. And people should think about this in all the areas of their business. You know, what is the pain point that you solve?
Yeah.
Big thing back then was, does my accountant really get me? And what's it going to cost me this year? I'm going to get the big bill when I also get my tax bill. Great. Have I saved enough money for it?
Yeah.
We fixed the pain points, like, you know what it's going to cost, and you pay 12 small bits.
Yeah.
You know, dead easy. Plus, we've now got the software that's going to help you track it way, way easier throughout the year, right? And I think everyone should look at this in their business of going, what do your new clients complain about the old guys?
Yeah, right.
Fix those pain points. That is all you need to do very often. And you've got a great business that stands out. So yes, that's what we did. What was fascinating was where we did that, we then kept our finger on the pulse. Again, credit to my old boss there. He was really good at this. When he found out, actually, we're not as profitable as we could or should be from this amount of work. We're actually doing loads more work, and we're actually probably not capturing everything that we do well. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, never set and forget in a business, because it's very unlikely that that's going to reward you well long term, right?
Yeah.
Keep reviewing it.
If you don't grow, you die.
Yeah. And so what we did was we realized that, hey, all of this stuff here, do people actually want it? No. Right, well, it's expensive to deliver. Should we take it out? Yeah. Does anyone care? No. Awesome.
Or maybe 1 in 100 people care, or 2 in 100 people, but by taking it out, you can add an extra 40 people in.
Yeah,
and
totally.
so you're like, do that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you want those? Yeah, we read them. Perfect. You were the only people. Cool.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We can add that back in, because we're still better off for not doing 99 of them, you know?
Yeah.
And just being in communication with your clients about this stuff, to be like, what do you actually want? And so we evolved our packages over, you know, after about a year. Constant evolution. Is it right? Is it working? Are people happy? Do they like what they're getting? Updating our clients, sometimes en masse, sometimes individually. Yeah. Having clear parameters, because we had 3 packages, but it wasn't to say that your 3 packages you were definitely guaranteed to be able to buy one, because the joke was in the office, because I was the sales guy, that I was going to sign up Fonterra on our Sidekick Lite package, right? I'm like, it fits, you know. They only want annuals and zero, and it's like, you know, we had to be able to fit it right for the client, the situation, and us. But also, what I loved about it was, with the fixed fee and with everything like that, the way you use accountancy goes up and down. So if you could have some consistency to that, then that was great. Rolling the clock way forward to like 2020 though, that was probably when we had our first real game changer around how we sold our packages. Yeah. Because what we realized was, you know, like, we'd had this rock star economy the whole time. Like, you know, we had such an incredible run. And then something massive like this black swan event happens, like COVID or whatever, you know, very much like the GFC would have been back 2008. And everyone just wants to pump the brakes. Yeah. They go, oh, hang on, I don't know how much money's coming into my business next month. What subscriptions am I paying for? What am I actually using? What are we going to do here? And the appetite for that all-inclusive like subscription pretty much disappeared overnight.
Yeah, right.
Because people didn't want to feel like they could possibly pay for something that they weren't going to use or get. And also, you know, I mean, internally it's quite challenging to make sure you are delivering on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the pros outweigh the cons usually. And so we went through this stage of now we have pretty much unbundled a lot of what we do so that we kind of don't really have packages, but we do. Each client feels like they've got a package because they've got their package.
But it's based off like a template kind of or something
Totally.
like that. Yeah, right.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so I look at a typical business. Let's say you're a plumbing company. Okay, what's your turnover? You're on zero. Right, I know what your annuals are going to cost you.
Yeah.
Are we doing the GST or are you? We are. Okay, we'll do the zero for you. And then what else are you likely to need?
Should we reconcile this? Should we do this? Do you want some cash flow reporting? Do you want this? And then you just build a...
And we just go, cool, this is what it will cost you. Do you want all of that in a monthly fee? Or do you want to do the bigger projects as projects when you do it? And so actually, we just organise their monthly fee for them when they join us. And we organise what projects need to be done for them. Yeah. And they can spread the cost as much as they want, or they can lump it or do whatever. So that was just... Now, as we did that, and it seemed totally natural to us because we've been doing this for 10 years and being happy to have bold conversations with our clients over the years about it. So I think we've navigated it pretty well.
Yeah.
I know that we've had, you know, our attrition rate with clients is better than the industry average, right? Yeah. So, and as long as clients are still getting value, that's the most critical thing. But we've chopped and changed as much as we've needed to over the years, and it's been great. And I've found out that there were businesses out there doing similar to what we did who set and forget in like 2012.
Yeah, right.
And disastrous. Yeah. And I know over the years, you know, a lot of what we do has been slightly commoditized, right? So you'd hope that the accountancy job come the end of the year is a bit easier.
Yeah.
Only in certain areas and only with tech driving it. When it comes to rental properties, freaking horrendous. Like all of the laws that came out from like 2017 to 2023 around property, horrendous.
Yeah.
Which might be why, you know, you can't rent a house now for less than like $670 a week.
Wouldn't have anything to do with it. No.
May have, but who knows? But the
as not economists, we have no idea.
yeah. I did actually have an argument with an economist once in a room, and I was like, with about 100 other people listening, and they were adamant that if landlords could charge more, then they just would. And I was like, no, they pretty much just try and run a, like, you know, just run it flat.
Yeah.
Like, and he was like, no, if they could charge more, they would. I was like, well, okay, fine. I mean, I think that rents are going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Because it's actually more of a necessity thing than anything else, I think, for landlords. It's like, we have a place up north and I probably topped it up $400 a week last year.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a real easy way to torch 20 grand, you know? Yeah. And like, I inherited it. My fiance had it under contract. When she moved down, we were like, her original plan was to move into it. And she got pregnant and had to come to Christchurch. We're like, we got to do something.
Yeah.
So we're like, we'll rent it out. And you know, like if we could have raised the rent so I didn't have to put $400 a week in, I would have.
Yeah.
But you don't have free play.
Those constraints.
Yeah.
But then if everybody else is in the same boat and they all have to get an extra 100 out of it, then they do. And then the next year they're still topping it up 300. If they can get an extra 100 out of it, they do.
Yeah.
And so by making massive national changes to policies on something as critical as housing, one person can't move, but the majority can. And that's why we've got outrageous rents.
And then you don't even hurt the landlords because they wind up essentially in the same position.
Landlords have got one source of revenue.
Yeah.
And they're called tenants.
Yeah.
Right? And so who's going to hurt when you do this? It was, I won't talk about Labour's tax policy because it's not my happy place.
Yeah.
And I think it was so destructive to a lot of the working class, whilst saying, aren't we being kind to you?
Yeah, we're helping you.
It really seemed that helpful on reflection.
Something that I really am curious about, and I'm conscious we've just crossed over an hour, which I thought we were, but that went fast.
That did, yeah.
So, and this is a personal question, and like I joked with you before, I've got these questions, we haven't touched them.
Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Cool.
So something that you talked about before was this like innovation of product thing, right? And that is something that, so I'm currently going through this thing, and internally I feel like we just keep changing our product, keep changing our product. It's all for the greater good. All we're trying to do is drive better outcomes for clients, do all these things. But what I worry about is that our impression to our clients is like we have no idea what we're doing because we're dynamic and we're moving. And there's other businesses that haven't adapted in 10 years that we compete against. We know our product's better, but it's just a little bit shakier. And the clients that have been around for a long time, they see these different, we have this person here and then we take that person out and put this person in. And everything that we've done's been in the pursuit of doing a better job for our clients. But we've gotten to a point where we probably have too much bloat now and there's too much system and we need more independent brilliance, less spell checking by another person and that sort of thing. What was it like for you continuously pushing this product forwards and adapting it and getting feedback and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so it's tricky, right? And there's no real right answer to that, I don't think, or one answer to that. It's part of our culture that we have always been happy to take 2 or 3 steps forward and be the first to admit when we need to take 1 or 2 steps back, right? And like I say, operate in this business, whether it's our business or a client's business, it is more of an experiment than it is an exact science, right? Well, I think we've got the principles, and so redefining a product. I mean, I've said this to someone before. It's like I've come up with some of the world's best products that no one wanted, right? I just thought it was a cool thing for us.
Yeah.
And I like to kind of innovate like that. But I suppose you've got to ask, what are you innovating for? If you're innovating because your clients want something different and you can do it better, I think that's fantastic. If you're innovating because you think your business can be better, it might not be from the right place.
Yeah.
And I think that, I forget the name of the bell curve now, but it's it's to do with when, you create your business, you get that uplift in your success and your growth, and then you get to that point where you've kind of peaked out of maturity in your business, and then you go into decline. Now, that is an age-old story of nearly all businesses, but there's an opportunity to capture it at the top. And you go, right, well, we're actually here now. We now need the next innovation.
Yeah, start another bell curve. Yeah,
start the bell curve again. And that's what I always want to be painfully aware of, is where are we on that bell curve right now?
Yeah.
And if you are in the dip, fine. Recognize it, It's like the old Kodak, did they have their most profitable year ever the year before they went into bankruptcy?
Yeah.
Right? Because they got really good at refining stuff and they didn't want to adopt new digital tech or didn't believe it was going to get there, right? There are still photographic businesses that exist that sell films and, all of that, but it's like blacksmiths now,
Yeah,
they just you don't see them. So the core principle for me is, are you doing it to make your own business better, or are you doing it to make the client's life better? And then are you doing that from feedback from the client, or are you doing it from feedback for yourself?
Yeah.
I'll admit we've done the latter numerous times. We've gone, oh, actually, we can't still deliver this at this price. This just doesn't work. Or we've been hit massively with inflation. Not inflation, but like
costs.
Xero goes up a lot, or other softwares go up, or we use more subscriptions now to deliver this service. So, we've got to absorb that, we've got to wear that cost, but then we can't absorb it. We actually need to then pass it on. But that's where we need to then have really good conversations with our clients. So one of the biggest changes we had was when we had to change our pricing significantly.
Yeah.
And it almost, where we had fixed fee packages, right, it was pretty much putting the bottom one up to like the middle one.
Yeah,
And
right.
there, and you look at it and you go, this is honestly what it costs now. You know, in our industry, and you'll have it in yours, so professional services industry, your wage costs will actually go up between 50 and 100% every 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Because unless you keep letting people out at the top and keep hiring in at the bottom.
Yeah.
Because the people that stick around are going to get wage increases naturally, but they're also going to get better and more valuable.
Yeah.
And as a business, you hope to get more out of them for that, but that costs more.
Yeah.
So it's just the reality of professional services, you know. And so, yeah, what we ended up doing with all of our clients, and it was probably around 2020, 2021, when people were hurting and it was uncertain, and we just went out to everyone and said, this is what our packages are now. You're on this one, but how can we do this as a partnership?
Yeah.
How can we make it so that if cost is one of your greatest challenges right now, which we understand, let's pull down the service so that you are still in a really good space. You're getting everything done that you needed to. And actually, let's use this as a bit of a training exercise to go, well, maybe you do your GST returns now. We've been saying to you for a few years, you can do your own GST returns, right?
Yeah.
And if you do, you're going to save like $1,100 a year.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. And so loads more training, loads more support. We launched new products over that time. So like all of last year, unfortunately, I'm not doing it this year with the change of the role, but group training. So guys will pay monthly and turn up every 4 weeks and in a particular like industry category.
Yep.
And we would just share loads of content with them and get them to do practical exercises. And it's the stuff that, you know, if you wanted that one-on-one, it's probably going to cost you like 11 grand of like business planning and forecasting and risk registers and all of that stuff that it's great to have in a business, but you don't do it because it's 11 grand.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you pay $280 or $295 a month, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you get it for like 3.5.
Yeah, nice.
Plus, so, you know, third of the price. And they've got a group of guys that they're doing it with.
Yeah,
so,
a bit of networking. And,
yeah,
nice.
So it creates the opportunity to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, try it, communicate it well with your clients, be prepared to fail.
Yeah.
And hope that, I suppose, your clients share that view. And I think that they will, because if I look at all of our client base, they are not really conservative, really traditional, like, I want to do it this way, just do me the traditional accounts. I just want an end of year tax return.
Yeah.
Well, you won't like us then.
Yeah. And I think that style of business is dying as well, right? They aren't around in the way that they used to be. There's a lot more innovation and you know, the new age of businesses that's coming through are very different.
Yeah. And the thing is, like attracts like, right? So there's absolutely a place for the traditional and, you know, more conservative businesses out there that do what they do and have always done it that way, and they will have their clients. Great. But
it's not us.
It's not us, and therefore our clients, you know, I want to work with clients that share the same value of let's innovate, let's give it a go. Let's just make sure that we're sensible and, you know, we don't put the house on it. Kind of thing.
Yeah, nice. And speaking of working with people, if there's, say, an accountant that's listening to this, or someone who's going, how does this whole Sidekick thing works? What would your sort of message be to them, your elevator pitch, if you will?
Yeah, okay. So if there's an accountant watching this who thinks I might be interested in that, look, essentially, we can work with them if they are a startup or they're established or they're wanting to have a succession plan out of their business, right? We can do it by either a partnership or a merger if we're in the same area as them, or potentially an acquisition. So our model, really flexible. The most critical thing is it going to be a great fit for us and them? Like, is Are our values aligned? Are our teams going to be aligned? Are we hoping to do the same thing over the same time frame that they've got and we've got, right? So this firm that's just joining us now, they're joining us essentially as partnership. So they'll share our brand, our IP, our tech. They'll come to our conferences. They get the director development when we catch up for our regular director meetings together. So all strategy, all of that, team development, all included in it.
Yeah.
And then they just pay a percentage fee, so the fee to join is essentially, they're buying into our business, and we deliver everything that they need to do, websites and all of that. And then there's just a monthly fee that is by design very manageable for them.
Yeah.
So they should see an ROI on it immediately.
Yeah.
And what we've aimed to do is actually, we've designed it to be, I reckon, by far the best and best price option in the market.
Yeah, nice.
And the most flexible.
Yeah.
And my job is to then make sure that everybody we bring on board is awesome.
Yeah.
And I know awesome is really difficult to define. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't want 10 people in each town. I want one. And I just want the best that's going to fit us. Because ultimately we get the best people in. We all get much better all the time. And just really having that abundance mentality to it. So, yeah.
Love it. Hey, I've got a closing question. I've asked every guest that's come on the show so far. I'm interested to what your response will be. If you could do your time again, we go all the way back to the start. There's one thing you could do differently. What would it be?
That is so challenging. I'm a big believer that I kind of wouldn't actually change anything, because do you know what? I've really loved my life, the great stuff and the bad stuff, right? Yeah. It's all shaped who I am today. Not that I think I'm perfect, but you know, the lesson there is one thing I might though, and it kind of sticks in my mind, is I know I've been too guilty of being too trusting in the past. And I've put myself in, like vulnerable positions in terms of when you're just absolutely high trust.
Yeah.
And so trying to learn from that is the key.
Yeah.
But I also think it's probably part of my personality and being quite open.
Yeah.
Without being reckless.
Yeah.
So I would just be careful who you borrow money from.
Nice. Rick, this has been awesome. If someone's listened to this, they want to get in touch with you or keep up with what you're doing, where's the best places to do that?
Yeah, look, follow me on LinkedIn. Yeah. Also, search me out on Facebook, because that's my work Facebook anyway. So it's all, if you can find me online, it's the work me.
Yeah, right. There's only one. Cool. Hey, thank you so much, mate. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome.
That was fantastic. If you've listened this far, thank you very much. That's been awesome. I'm sure you've enjoyed it as much as I have listening to it in real time. Make sure you subscribe to us on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube if you want to see Rick's face, and check out our socials that accompany this podcast. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks again, Rick.
Cheers. Thank you.